For 3,000 years, peace reigned across the galaxy. The Galactic Concord, an alliance made up of hundreds of different civilizations, had managed to keep the universe free from war. Species that once fought for dominance had learned to live together, sharing knowledge, resources, and a common goal: harmony. But like all things, even peace can be tested. The trouble began when the Archaith Dominion, one of the most powerful empires in the galaxy, made a surprising accusation. The Dominion, led by the proud and ancient Archaith species, claimed that humanity had been secretly hoarding valuable resources on a newly discovered planet in a distant star system. This planet, which both the Archaith and humanity had agreed to share, was suddenly at the center of a brewing storm. The Archaith Dominion's message was loud and clear. Humanity had broken the peace agreement. They accused humanity of lying, cheating, and stealing. They demanded that all resources taken from the planet be returned, and if humanity refused, they would face the consequences. The rest of the Galactic Concord watched with nervous anticipation. The Concord had always stood as a symbol of cooperation and unity. No one had dared to break the peace in all these years. Yet here was humanity, a relatively young species, being accused of breaking the very foundation of galactic order. The Dominion wasted no time. A fleet of ships, sleek and powerful, left their homeworld and set a course for humanity's colonies. Their message was clear: they were coming to start a war. But when the Dominion's leaders expected to see fear, they were met with confusion. Instead of panic, the human government seemed almost amused. In fact, humanity's response wasn't what anyone expected. The Human Council, made up of representatives from various nations, didn't call for an emergency meeting or begin preparing weapons for battle. Instead, they issued a simple statement that left the galaxy baffled. "We're not worried. We've seen much worse." To the rest of the galaxy, this response seemed like madness. The Dominion had weapons that could turn entire planets to ash. Their military was one of the most feared in the galaxy. And yet, humanity, who had only recently become a spacefaring race, didn't seem concerned at all. Behind the scenes, the people of Earth weren't ignoring the threat. But they weren't rushing to war either. Instead of creating new warships or developing deadly weapons, humanity's focus was elsewhere. Cities across the planet were hosting large celebrations, with fireworks lighting up the night sky and music filling the air. It seemed like the entire planet was preparing for a party, not a fight. While other civilizations in the Concord debated how to respond to the Dominion's accusations, humanity continued with their daily life. Some of the most brilliant minds in the world, scientists, engineers, and strategists, met in secret to discuss what to do. But they didn't panic. Instead, they laughed. They knew something the rest of the galaxy didn't. Humanity had already evolved past the need for war. Wars had been a part of human history, but over the centuries, humans had found new ways to solve their problems. Peace, not destruction, was the goal. And if the Dominion wanted war, humanity would show them a side of warfare they had never seen before. A message was sent to the Concord, and then broadcast to the entire galaxy. "We are ready for whatever the Dominion has planned. But we don't play by their rules. If they want war, let's make it interesting." For the rest of the galaxy, this was both terrifying and puzzling. How could a species so young, with so little military experience, speak with such confidence? What did humanity know that no one else did? And why were they not afraid of the Dominion, whose reputation for destruction was unmatched? The Archaith, on the other hand, were enraged by humanity's lack of fear. They had expected Earth to bow before their power, to beg for mercy. Instead, humanity's response seemed like an insult. The Dominion's fleet continued its march toward Earth, but the Dominion's leaders knew one thing for sure: this would not be a normal war. The Archaith Dominion was not accustomed to being mocked. For centuries, their empire had crushed any who dared to challenge their power. They had learned that fear was the best weapon. When a species feared them, they could easily control them. But humanity was different. They didn't fear the Dominion. They didn't even seem to take the threat seriously. As the Dominion fleet approached Earth, the rest of the galaxy waited for the inevitable clash. Every civilization in the galactic concord knew the Dominion's military might. They had witnessed their destructive power firsthand, and many feared that if war broke out, it would be devastating. The Dominion ships were like nothing humanity had ever encountered, massive, heavily armed, and practically invincible. Their weapons were capable of wiping out entire fleets with a single shot. But when the first Archaith ships entered human space, something strange happened. There was no immediate sign of military preparation. There were no fleets of warships ready to defend Earth. No signs of panic or retreat. Instead, the Earth's communication systems buzzed with excitement. Messages started flooding in from every corner of the planet. Instead of orders for battle, there were invitations. Invitations to celebrate. Humanity, in its calmest moment, seemed to laugh in the face of danger. Earth's largest cities were transformed into festival grounds. Holographic billboards advertised concerts, sporting events, and galas, all taking place at the same time the Archaith fleet was drawing closer. The galaxy could hardly believe its eyes. Humanity was acting as if a grand party was being planned, not a war. The human governments even issued a statement that said, "Don't worry about us. We'll handle it in our own way. Relax and enjoy the show." The Archaith couldn't understand it. They had expected to see fear, desperation, or at least some form of military preparation. Instead, they saw a planet unbothered by their threat, its people going about their daily lives, as if nothing was wrong. It was as if Earth was saying, "Come and try, if you must, but we have no reason to be afraid." On the day that the Dominion fleet finally entered Earth's orbit, the planet's atmosphere was filled with strange and unexpected messages. These weren't military threats, but cheerful invitations. A famous cooking competition aired on global television, with contestants from Earth preparing elaborate dishes. Meanwhile, massive screens across the planet displayed scenes of an interstellar tennis match, where human players were engaging in a friendly game with members of other alien species. It was as though humanity was trying to say, "This is how we fight now." The Archaith leaders grew more and more furious. How could humanity be so casual? Didn't they understand the danger they were in? Didn't they know what the Dominion was capable of? They expected a show of submission, not laughter and games. But no matter how hard they tried to grasp it, the humans seemed to be mocking them. Back on Earth, in secret, humanity's best minds were working behind closed doors. The military did have plans, but these plans were not based on the idea of defeating the Dominion in a traditional battle. Instead, they relied on the advanced technology humanity had developed over the centuries, technology that was far beyond anything the Dominion could imagine. For years, humanity had been developing what they called adaptive AI. These artificial intelligences were not just tools. They were creative, resourceful, and ever-evolving. They had been integrated into every aspect of human life, from medical research to space exploration. And now, they were being used to prepare Earth for whatever the Dominion had in store. But the rest of the galaxy had no idea what humanity's technology was capable of. As the Dominion ships loomed over Earth, the AI systems silently began working, scanning every inch of the approaching fleet, analyzing every tactic the Dominion might use, and adapting in real time. Humanity's true weapon wasn't its military might, it was its mind. The galaxy had always seen humans as young, inexperienced, and perhaps a little naive. But what the Archaith and the rest of the galaxy didn't understand was that humanity had grown stronger, not through violence, but through creativity and intelligence. They had learned how to use their minds to solve problems, to outthink their enemies, and to find peaceful solutions in the most unlikely of circumstances. And yet, all of this was happening behind the scenes. To the rest of the galaxy, humanity's calm was a mystery. Were they pretending to be careless, or were they truly this confident? The Dominion had no way of knowing. As the days passed and the Dominion fleet moved closer, humanity's people continued to live as if everything was normal. The celebrations grew larger. Parades filled the streets, and joyful music echoed across the planet. For Earth, it was just another day. But to the Archaeans, it was an insult they couldn't ignore. The day had finally arrived. The Dominion fleet was now within striking distance of Earth. Their ships, large and imposing, glided silently through space, their weapons locked and ready. Every soldier aboard the ships was prepared for battle, confident that they would crush humanity's defenses without breaking a sweat. But still, the galaxy watched with bated breath. Would Earth fight back? Would the calm that had puzzled everyone suddenly give way to fear or chaos? But Earth continued to act in the same strange way it had for days. While the Dominion's warships loomed in orbit, humanity's response remained unchanged. There was no rush to prepare for battle. Instead, there were more public events, more celebrations, and more strange messages. The people of Earth were still sending out invitations to their festivities, even as the Dominion ships drew closer. The humans were completely unconcerned by the threat hanging over them. But then, just as the Archaean fleet was about to enter Earth's atmosphere, something unexpected happened. The Dominion was the first to strike. A small skirmish fleet, sent to test humanity's defenses, opened fire. Powerful beams of energy shot across space, targeting Earth's outer defenses. The galaxy watched in shock as the first shots were fired. The Dominion expected an immediate response. They anticipated a desperate counterattack, with humanity's military scrambling to protect their home planet. Instead, they were met with silence. No massive explosions, no fiery retaliation. Instead, Earth's automated defense systems came online. At first, the Dominion thought it was a glitch. Surely, the humans would be retaliating in full force soon. But what they didn't realize was that Earth had been quietly preparing for a situation like this for years. The humans had developed a network of advanced drones and defense systems, all powered by the adaptive AI they had created. These systems were far more sophisticated than the Dominion had imagined. They were not simple weapons or shields. They were an intricate web of technology designed to outsmart and outmaneuver any threat. As the Dominion fired their weapons, the drones deployed across the solar system began to act. They moved with astonishing speed and precision, not like machines, but like living creatures, adapting to every movement the Dominion fleet made. Energy beams from the Dominion ships were blocked by force fields that seemed to appear out of nowhere. Missiles fired by the Dominion ships were intercepted before they even had a chance to reach their targets. The Dominion's fleet tried to adjust, sending more firepower in different directions, but each time they did, they were met with an unexpected response. The drones moved like shadows, always a step ahead, always one move away from the next attack. It was as if the entire defense system was alive, constantly learning and adapting. In the control rooms aboard the Dominion ships, the commanders grew increasingly frustrated. They had expected to see human ships defending Earth, with humans fighting valiantly to protect their world. Instead, they were facing an enemy they couldn't touch. They had underestimated humanity's technological progress, and now they were paying the price. "Send in the heavy artillery," one of the Dominion commanders barked. "We can't allow these bugs to disrupt our plan." But it was too late. The more the Dominion pushed, the more the automated systems seemed to evolve. Within minutes, the entire fleet was locked in a battle they didn't understand. The drones and defensive systems didn't fight with brute force. They outsmarted the invaders at every turn. And worst of all, the Dominion ships couldn't even track the movements of the drones with their advanced sensors. As the battle raged on, the Dominion commanders sent out a message. It wasn't a threat, but a request for clarification. "What are you doing?" they asked. "How are you doing this?" The response from Earth was simple and to the point. "You're playing checkers, and we're playing chess." The Dominion didn't understand. How could humans be so calm? How could they use their technology in this way? And why weren't they trying to destroy their enemies in the traditional way? The Dominion had never encountered an opponent who didn't follow the rules of war. Humanity was rewriting the playbook, and the Archaith didn't know how to react. As the hours passed, the Dominion fleet began to lose momentum. They had underestimated humanity's defensive capabilities. The automated systems, working in perfect harmony, were more than a match for anything the Dominion could throw at them. Finally, after what felt like an eternity, the Dominion fleet pulled back. They hadn't achieved their objective. Their weapons were drained, and their morale was shattered. The humans hadn't fought with the weapons they expected. They had fought with their minds, using creativity and intelligence to turn the tide of battle. The Dominion had come to destroy, but instead, they had been outsmarted. Back on Earth, there were no victory celebrations. No one was cheering in the streets. Humanity simply went about their day, as if nothing extraordinary had happened. But in the hearts and minds of every human, there was a quiet sense of pride. They had shown the galaxy that they weren't a species to be taken lightly. And the Dominion. They would have to rethink everything they knew about war. The Dominion's fleet had retreated, humiliated by the unexpected resistance they encountered. Across the galaxy, there was a mixture of shock and confusion. How had humanity, a species thought to be young and inexperienced, managed to turn the tide of battle so quickly? The Dominion had always been seen as invincible. Their advanced technology was feared by every other species, yet against humanity's strange, almost playful approach, they had been defeated without a single human soldier setting foot on the battlefield. As the Dominion licked its wounds and retreated back to its homeworld, the Galactic Concord could only watch in awe. The question on everyone's mind was simple: what had humanity done? How had they defeated the Dominion without ever truly engaging in traditional war? The answer, however, was something no one had anticipated. In the days following the battle, Earth's ambassador to the Concord called an emergency meeting with the leaders of the galaxy. The ambassadors from various species gathered around, still processing the bizarre turn of events. They couldn't understand why the Dominion, with all its strength, had been outsmarted by a species with far less experience in intergalactic warfare. "Let me explain," Earth's ambassador said with a calm smile, his voice steady. "What you witnessed was not war as you know it. What you saw was something entirely different." He paused, allowing the gravity of his words to settle in. The other leaders leaned forward, eager to hear more. What was humanity's secret? "It's simple," he continued. "We've spent the last 1,000 years developing a kind of technology you've never seen before. It's not weapons. It's not ships. It's not even the things you might consider advanced. It's something more. It's the way we think." The room fell silent. The other species exchanged confused looks. Humanity's ambassador was speaking with the kind of certainty that only someone who truly believed in their cause could muster. "Adaptive AI," he said, finally revealing the secret. "For generations, we have been working on creating artificial intelligence that can evolve, learn, and adapt. These systems don't just follow commands. They think. They learn. They improve themselves faster than any human mind could." A murmur ran through the room. The other species had developed AI in various forms, but nothing like this. Their artificial intelligences were tools, useful, yes, but predictable. The idea of an AI that could think and adapt like a living being was still a distant dream for most. "This is what you saw in action during the Dominion attack," the ambassador said. "The defense systems you encountered weren't just pre-programmed weapons. They were living, breathing strategies, constantly evolving to counter every move the Dominion made. They outsmarted your military at every turn." He paused again, letting his words sink in. The leaders of the Concord were still processing this new information. If what humanity said was true, it meant that war, as they understood it, had just changed forever. The Dominion had been defeated, not by brute force, but by pure intelligence. "Humans," the ambassador went on, have always believed that creativity and intelligence were the key to overcoming challenges. For us, war isn't about overwhelming force. It's about adaptability. It's about using our minds, not our weapons. And that's how we won. The Dominion didn't fail because they didn't have enough firepower. They failed because they couldn't keep up with the ever-changing tactics of our defense systems. The leaders of the Concord were left speechless. For generations, they had relied on their technology, their fleets, and their weapons to maintain their place in the galaxy. They had believed that military strength was the ultimate power. But now, humanity had shown them that intelligence and adaptability could be just as powerful, if not more so. "Let me make something clear," the ambassador said, his tone serious now. "This is not about showing off. This is not a challenge to the Dominion or any of you. We didn't want war. But we will always be ready to defend ourselves, not with force, but with ingenuity. And we are not alone in this. Our allies in the Concord have access to similar technologies. We are not the only ones who can adapt." The room was silent, the weight of his words hanging heavily in the air. Humanity wasn't just a young species trying to survive. It was a species that had learned to outthink its enemies, to find solutions where others saw only problems. And in doing so, humanity had shown the galaxy that there was more to power than weapons and armies. The Dominion's retreat was only the beginning. The Concord leaders knew that they couldn't ignore humanity any longer. If they wanted to survive in a galaxy that was becoming increasingly unpredictable, they would need to rethink their strategies. The rules of war had changed, and those who failed to adapt would be left behind. The human ambassador looked around at the other leaders, his eyes steady and calm. "We don't seek dominance. We seek peace, but we will not allow anyone to threaten our world or our way of life. If you want to learn from us, we are willing to share our knowledge. But if you choose to oppose us, we will adapt. We will always adapt." And with that, the meeting ended. The galaxy had been warned, and humanity had made its stance clear. They were not a species to be underestimated. In a universe full of powerful empires, it was humanity's ability to think, adapt, and create that would be their greatest weapon. In the days that followed humanity's unexpected victory over the Dominion, the galaxy began to change. Leaders from across the galactic Concord now looked at Earth differently. What had once been a young and somewhat unremarkable species was now a force to be reckoned with. Humanity had shown them that it wasn't just military might that defined power. It was intelligence, creativity, and the ability to adapt. As the Dominion returned to their homeworld to lick their wounds, their leaders were in a state of shock. How had they been outmaneuvered by a species they had once dismissed as primitive? They had always seen themselves as the superior race, the dominant power in the galaxy, but now that illusion was shattered. The Archith Council, in a rare display of humility, sent an envoy to Earth. They knew they had to offer more than just apologies if they were to survive in this new galaxy where humanity's intelligence had turned the tables on their might. They wanted an alliance, not just with Earth, but with the other races of the galactic Concord. They knew that they could no longer go it alone. The Archith envoy arrived on Earth under a flag of peace, but the human leaders were wary. Earth had made its position clear. They wanted peace, but they would not allow themselves to be threatened again. The ambassador from Earth, who had spoken so confidently at the meeting with the galactic Concord, was ready to listen, but he wasn't ready to forgive just yet. "We're open to discussions," the ambassador said as he met with the Archith envoy. "But make no mistake. If we find that you are still planning to dominate others, we won't hesitate to defend ourselves. Our strength doesn't lie in how many ships we can build or how many guns we can fire. Our strength lies in our ability to adapt and think." The Archith envoy nodded, understanding the seriousness in the ambassador's voice. "We are aware of this," he replied. "The Dominion has always believed in power through force, but what we have seen from you has changed everything. We seek a new path, one of cooperation, not conquest. We want to learn from you, to grow stronger by working together." The discussions between the Archaith and humanity lasted for days. The Archaith leaders explained how their empire had been built on a foundation of fear and domination. But they had seen the error of their ways. The humans, they said, had shown them that a truly strong empire wasn't built on fear, but on mutual respect and collaboration. For the first time in its long history, the Dominion was willing to change. They had seen the power of humanity's intelligence and adaptability, and they realized that they could not afford to stand alone. They'd wanted to join forces with humanity and the other species in the galactic concord. It was an unexpected turn of events, but one that felt right. The human leaders listened carefully, but they didn't immediately agree. They had learned from their victory over the Dominion that trust could not be given easily. If they were to form an alliance, they would have to be sure that the Dominion had truly changed. Over the next few weeks, humanity and the Dominion entered into a series of tests. The Archaith would help humanity with their technology, and in return, humanity would share its knowledge of adaptive AI and creative problem-solving. The two species would collaborate on scientific research, learning from one another in ways neither could have imagined. The first of these joint efforts was a new space exploration project. Both the Archaith and humans worked together to create a new kind of ship, one that would be able to travel to distant galaxies faster than anything currently in existence. The humans provided their expertise in AI, creating an intelligent navigation system that could adapt to any environment, while the Archaith contributed their knowledge of energy-based propulsion systems, which were more advanced than anything humanity had ever seen. It was a perfect blend of both species' strengths, the humans' intelligence and creativity, and the Archaith's technological advancements. Together, they created something that neither could have done alone, a ship capable of traveling through the stars with unmatched speed and precision. But the true test came when the ship was ready for its maiden voyage. Humanity and the Dominion both knew that this was more than just a mission of exploration. It was a statement. It would show the galaxy that they could work together, that their alliance was real, and that they were stronger as partners than they had ever been as enemies. As the ship prepared to launch, a crowd gathered on Earth to watch. The media broadcasted the event to every corner of the galaxy. This was the first step in a new era for humanity and the Dominion, an era where strength came not from fear, but from collaboration and understanding. As the ship took off into space, its engines glowing brightly, the leaders of the galactic concord watched with a sense of hope. The galaxy was changing. The old ways of war and dominance were fading, replaced by a new way forward, one of cooperation and shared progress. For humanity, it was a moment of triumph. They had not only defended their planet, but they had shown the galaxy that peace and collaboration were the true sources of power. And in this new age of unity, they were ready to lead. The ship that had launched into space months ago was now returning. It had traveled to the farthest corners of the galaxy, beyond even the most advanced civilizations, and had returned with findings that had the potential to change everything. Humanity, alongside the Dominion, had proven that they could work together, not just as allies, but as true partners in exploration. The new ship, the Stellar Path, had become a symbol of cooperation, its journey marking the beginning of a new era. Back on Earth, the atmosphere was electric. Leaders from across the galaxy had arrived to witness the Stellar Path's return. The alliance between humanity and the Dominion had already begun to change the dynamics of the galactic concord, and now, with the successful completion of this joint mission, the future seemed brighter than ever. The first few years after the battle with the Dominion had been full of cautious optimism. Earth and the Dominion had worked together on countless projects, and their combined efforts were beginning to show results. New technologies, new ships, and new ideas were being shared, and the galaxy as a whole was beginning to change. But the Stellar Path was different. This was not just another success. This was the moment when the galaxy would see, once and for all, what humanity and the Dominion could achieve together. The return of the ship was a sign that the old ways of conflict, fear, and separation were gone. A new age of exploration, cooperation, and mutual respect had begun. As the ship entered Earth's atmosphere, the excitement was palpable. Crowds gathered in cities around the world, waiting for the moment when the ship would land. News channels broadcasted the event live, and millions of people from different species tuned in to watch. This wasn't just the return of a ship, it was the return of hope. The stellar path touched down softly on the vast plains of Earth, its engines hissing as the landing gear locked into place. The crowd erupted into applause, the sound reverberating across the planet. The leaders of Earth, the Dominion, and the Galactic Concord stepped forward, their faces full of hope and pride. This was a historic moment, one that would be remembered for centuries. Humanity's ambassador, who had been at the center of the peace talks with the Dominion, stepped forward to greet the returning crew. The ship's hatch opened and the crew emerged, both human and Dominion officers, their faces smiling as they walked down the ramp to join the assembled leaders. The ambassador raised his hand, signaling for silence. The crowd quieted, waiting for his words. "Today marks the beginning of a new chapter in our shared history," he said, his voice calm but full of determination. "The stellar path has not only brought back data and discoveries, it has brought us proof of what we can achieve when we put aside old grudges and work together." The journey of the stellar path was not just about reaching new stars. It was about reaching for a new future, a future where we no longer see each other as enemies, but as partners. The crowd cheered again, and the Dominion ambassador stepped forward to join him. He smiled warmly, his species' sharp features softening in the light of this momentous occasion. "We have learned much from humanity," the Dominion ambassador said, "and we are ready to continue learning. We are ready to embrace the future, not as conquerors, but as equals. What we have achieved together on this mission is only the beginning. With humanity's creativity and the Dominion's technology, we can accomplish things no one has ever dreamed of." The ambassadors shared a handshake, a symbolic gesture that showed the unity between the two species. It was a gesture that spoke louder than words. For the first time in the galaxy's history, a peaceful alliance was born, and the promise of a shared future was more than just a dream. As the celebrations continued, the leaders of the Galactic Concord watched with growing admiration. Earth had proven itself to be more than just a fledgling power. It had shown the galaxy that true strength lay not in domination, but in unity. The success of the stellar path had opened the door to a future where cooperation was the key to survival, and humanity was leading the way. In the months that followed, the stellar path's discoveries were analyzed and shared with the Concord. New technologies were born from the data, many of which would help every species in the galaxy improve their way of life. But perhaps the most important discovery of all was not a technological one. It was a realization. The greatest resource in the galaxy was not technology or power, but understanding. And that was something humanity had in abundance. The leaders of the Galactic Concord began to meet more frequently, discussing new ways to work together and furthering the bonds formed by humanity and the Dominion. There were still challenges ahead. There always would be. But the galaxy was no longer a place of constant war and suspicion. It was a place of possibility. The stellar path was not just a ship. It was a symbol of hope, a sign that the galaxy had entered a new era. And humanity, once seen as an insignificant species, had proven that it could lead the way into that future. The path ahead was bright, and the galaxy was ready for whatever came next. The galaxy had changed forever. What had once seemed impossible was now a reality. The warlike tensions that had defined the past were fading, replaced by the spirit of collaboration and unity. The stellar path, that symbol of humanity and the Dominion working together, had proven that peace and progress were within reach for all. For Earth, the transformation was remarkable. The planet, once considered a small and unimportant corner of the galaxy, had become a beacon of hope and innovation. Leaders from all species in the Galactic Concord now looked to Earth not just as an ally, but as a guiding example of how to build a future where cooperation, not conflict, was the foundation. On Earth, the people celebrated their newfound place in the galaxy. The once fearful whispers of alien invasions had been replaced with excitement about what the future held. Humanity had shown the galaxy that even the most unexpected species could rise to greatness if given the chance. The alliance between humanity and the Dominion had inspired the other members of the Galactic Concord to follow suit. Old rivalries were put aside as the members of the Concord began to focus on common goals: scientific progress, space exploration, and the betterment of all species. Every species now had something to contribute to the greater good, and all were learning from each other's strengths. But while Earth and the Dominion were celebrating their successes, they knew that this was only the beginning. The Stellar Path's mission had opened the door to a new kind of future, but it was a future that required constant effort and growth. Unity, though important, was not a one-time achievement. It was a continuous journey, one that needed to be nurtured. Humanity, with its adaptive nature, knew that the road ahead would not always be easy. There were still challenges to face, both internal and external. Not every species in the Galactic Concord was as eager to work together as the humans or the Dominion. Some were more focused on maintaining their power, and others were reluctant to trust those who had once been enemies. But the success of the Stellar Path had proven that, with the right mindset, the impossible could be accomplished. The next steps were clear. Humanity and the Dominion had agreed to share knowledge and resources in ways that were once unthinkable. They established joint research stations across the galaxy, where scientists from all species could work together on groundbreaking projects. The Stellar Path had given humanity the opportunity to contribute its technological innovations, particularly in AI and adaptive systems, to help solve problems faced by many civilizations. At the same time, the Dominion shared their advancements in energy manipulation, allowing for new forms of energy production that were cleaner and more sustainable than anything humanity had used before. It was a partnership that brought out the best in both species, and the effects were felt across the galaxy. The peace that had been achieved was fragile, but it was real. Every day, more people, more species, came to understand that the future they were building together was worth fighting for, without fighting each other. The Stellar Path had also made one thing clear: space exploration was no longer just for the few powerful empires. It was a shared pursuit for all species. With the technology now available, the galaxy was ripe for exploration. New planets, new life forms, and new challenges awaited. And humanity, along with its allies, was ready to face them all. As the leaders of Earth, the Dominion, and the Galactic Concord gathered for a final meeting to discuss the future, the mood was one of optimism. No longer were they concerned with domination or fear. Now, they were focused on what could be accomplished when they worked together. "We have come a long way," the human ambassador said, standing before the assembly. "But the greatest journey is still ahead of us. The Stellar Path has shown us what we can achieve when we look beyond our differences. Together, we can do anything. Together, we can explore the stars and build a galaxy where no species has to fight for survival." The Dominion ambassador, standing beside him, nodded in agreement. "For too long, we have fought each other. But now, we see the potential in working together. Humanity has taught us that strength comes from unity, not division. We are committed to this new path." And with that, the leaders of the Galactic Concord, human and alien alike, made a pact to continue their work together, with the ultimate goal of creating a future where peace and prosperity were not just hopes, but certainties. As the meeting ended and the leaders looked out over the horizon, the stars twinkling brightly in the distance, they knew that the galaxy was entering a new age. It was a time for discovery, for growth, and for a future that was not shaped by fear, but by the shared ambition to make the universe a better place for all. Humanity had once been an unknown species in the vastness of space. Now, they were at the forefront of a new era, one of hope, exploration, and unity. And with the help of their new allies, there was no limit to what they could achieve.